History of Rap is sponsored by Rap Fam Unleashed, the only worldwide monthly digital magazine dedicated to the rap vinyl industry. Each issue is loaded with knowledge from industry leaders such as Brent Knott, John Doover, Adam Sumner, Dallas Fowler, Matt Richard, Vanessa Ulmer, Tyler Dunn, and many, many more. Read all these issues and get all of the info at therapfam.com. That's therapfam.com. I want to take this opportunity to tell you about one of my new projects. Now, I am a jeans and t-shirt kind of guy, always have been. As well as starting a rap business and doing this podcast, I also have a passion for design. I was a designer before I was ever a rapper and found a long time ago that I don't just like seeing my designs on vehicles, but on t-shirts as well. The designs are usually pretty simple, but I figured if I like them, maybe you will too. Stuff your wardrobe at raptees.com.
Hello, hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Doing well. I saw you jump in, so I never know when to get in.
Yeah,
So I kind of
I'm
wait.
a BNI member, so I'm used to the 5 minute early rule. It's
Yeah.
just habit now.
Yeah. I'm always sitting here. I'm usually almost always here, ready to go, but I take my cues from whoever I'm talking to. So if I see them jump
Yeah,
in, because I hate sitting here just like waiting, like,
me too.
so. Yeah, there was one day where I was on a call with somebody and I had silenced all my notifications, just like waiting, and I had the lobby, the waiting room active on the link, and I forgot about it. And he texted me like, "Hey, I'm in the lobby," and I was like, I don't even know what that means. Like for whatever reason, my mind just went blank, my brain went blank, and I didn't know what the hell that meant. So I just like went about working, like just doing what I was doing. Like 10 minutes later, I was like, oh no, he's like literally like waiting for me in the Zoom lobby.
Yep, yep.
Like I'm so dumb sometimes, but
No worries, it happens to the best of us. Like
yeah.
I would have that happen sometimes where it's just like, oh my gosh, you forget about something or this, that, the other thing, but it's always pretty recoverable. So
Mhm.
I did actually want to ask you about using Zoom for podcasting because we're both
Yeah.
fellow podcasters. So I was
Yeah.
like, this is pretty cool because I use a software, it's called Riverside, and
Mhm.
it is amazing. It's literally built for podcasts.
Oh
So
yeah.
you can do all the super cool stuff with editing where you can edit from text. So it generates like an AI transcript of the whole entire like recording or whatever. And when I go in and edit, it has the whole transcript. So if there's a part that I want to cut out, I can read through it, highlight the text, say that I want that removed, and it cuts that part of the video. Like I don't even have to do any trimming or stitching or taping or anything like that. So
Oh,
super
that's
cool if
cool.
you wanted to check it out.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I use Zoom because I use it for like other things too.
Oh yeah.
So like I do meetings and I have like coaching and things like that. So having
Oh,
Zoom
do
is
you
just kind of
really?
nice. Huh?
Do you
I
really?
don't do coaching. I take coaching.
Oh, okay. I was
I
gonna say.
I have a business coach. So yeah, so we meet like every couple weeks, and like there's some other like groups and stuff that I'm in, and we have like text groups and stuff, and every now and again we'll like hop on a call just to like touch base or whatever. So it's nice. And then if I want to break my clips down, I use Opus Clip to break them
Yeah,
down.
that's
Like
pretty good.
I just upload the entire thing, and it'll give me everything, and I just kind of pick and choose. All
That's
right,
awesome.
this one, that one, and I want to make it as simple as possible because
Yeah.
this is more of a passion thing. Like I like doing it, and I don't want to spend a ton
Yeah.
of time doing it. But I always find myself spending more time working on it than I want to, just because I like it. So I'm trying to figure out a way to like make it go a little bit faster. So
Yeah, for sure. I would really check out Riverside because they have a cool thing too where it's kind of like Opus Clip in Riverside, right in the editor. Like when you film your podcast recording or whatever, they have like the actual recording that you can edit. Then they have an exports tab where it's like all of your exported videos go to a specific tab. And then there's also a part where it's like magic clips. And that's essentially the Opus Clips like plugin where it has all the pre-generated like reels and the captions on it, all ready to go, already like it's pretty much like a TV dinner. You just pop it in the microwave and you're done. So it's really cool for podcasting. I definitely recommend checking it out.
Cool. Riverside, you said. All right, I'm just gonna go
Yeah,
ahead and
riverside.com. And they're really great too as a company. They host these like free seminars. So if you're into like online like coaching and additional resources, they do these like free seminars every so often
Mhm.
where they'll just go over all the new features that they added, show you how to use them and all that kind of stuff. So they're really active with their community too.
Right on. Cool. All right, I'll check it out. Sounds like not a commercial for Riverside, by the way, but
No, not a commercial for Riverside. I'm not being paid
you just
to
like it.
promote them.
Yeah,
But
no, I'm with you. I talk about the things that I like, like
yep.
that's just I like it, I use it, and that's what comes up in conversation.
Yeah, for
Um
sure.
so yeah, like I mean, this is how like I do things, man. Like we jump in and we just go. So like all this is going to be in there. I don't know if
Okay, cool.
you've heard it or anything before. Like I don't really do a lot of like intro stuff or anything like that, but for the sake of I guess doing it, your name is Jenn Stank. You go by Jen
Yes.
or Jennifer? Jen?
Jen, with
Jen?
2 N's
Okay.
specifically. Yes, I
All right.
always used to tell my Starbucks barista
Okay.
that.
So Jen Stank, you reached out saying, "Hey, like this would be really cool to talk and everything." And seeing like some of your work, I was like, let's do it. So first of all, first female on the podcast, which is great. Yay. And
Woohoo!
second of all, first designer, first true designer. So I've had some other people on like Rugs. He does, the magazine, Rat Fan magazine and everything like that. So he does like the layout and all the editorial stuff there. So, and he's never wrapped a day in his life, which is great. Which is cool. And I've had like the couple episodes ago was Tim Evans, and Tim Evans is a rapper, but he also does a lot of stuff with photography now, which in the industry, which is cool. And now a designer. So a lot of us in the industry, especially a lot of installers, some of us started designing. That's how I got into it. I got a degree in graphic design and then started working at a sign shop, and then that's kind of like that was my introduction into the rap world.
It's always
So
the gateway drug, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Graphic
So
design.
and I do less and less design stuff now, strictly because like I don't want to mess with it. I kind of leave it, I leave it to the professionals. There are people
Yeah.
I recognize there are people out there that are way more talented than I am. So I would much rather let someone like you handle that kind of thing and me handle my customer and doing the install and getting the print and stuff like that. So um, I don't know. Tell me a little bit about just kind of your history and where, like, how you got started. What are you doing? Like, and again, like, what's your what was your introduction into the rap industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I'll just start all the way from the beginning. So hello everybody. My name is Jennifer Stank. I am the owner and operator of Stankin Good Design. Life gave me lemons with the last name, so I made lemonade. But I got my start. I didn't know what I wanted to do. You're 17 years old, you're in high school, and all of these guidance counselors are like down your throat about what you want to do with your future, what colleges you want to apply for, how many colleges did you apply to, did you get any interviews? Like, it's so much pressure for a young adolescent. And at that time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. All my friends, they were going to be doctors and lawyers and all this like high paying stuff, um, electrical engineers and all this kind of crazy stuff. And that just was never me. I was always a misfit. I never really fit in anywhere. I was always kind of like the odd one out. So everybody was kind of doing this. And it was just, I never went with what everybody else was doing. I was always the odd one out. And I was like, well, I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. And at that point, in high school, I started drawing in 8th grade, way later than everybody else. And then through the course of high school, there was an art program there. So I took the art class and I loved it. I learned how to paint and do all that cool stuff. And I really fell in love with art. It was the first time in my life I really found a passion. And I stayed with it all through high school. And it came time they were asking about college. I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I really don't. I know I have to go to college, it's what everybody else is doing, but I don't want to go. And I was like, well, I like art. So if I can find something to do with art, so I don't like totally hate it, and I'm miserable the whole time, that'd be cool. So I started asking my guidance counselor, like, I like art. Is there anything I can do with that? And they were like, well, you could either be a starving artist trying to find painting museums in New York City, or graphic design's a pretty safe bet. And I was like, what's graphic design? Like, I had no idea it even existed. And they were like, well, it's like computer art. And I was like, all right, let's do that, I guess. So I took a chance, ended up going to college for graphic design, and I had no idea what it was. I learned as I went through my whole college experience, and I fell in love with it, luckily. It was like a happy accident, I like to say, like Bob Ross. So went through my whole college experience, and then you're graduating with a graphic design degree that costs $80,000, and you have all this college debt, and you have to find a job. So you take whatever you can get. You take whatever you can get. And I found the sign shop in Reading, Pennsylvania. So I went to Kutztown. It's Kutztown, Pennsylvania. And then Reading's pretty close to there. It's like an hour away. So fresh out of college, I still had my apartment, and I found a job at this local sign shop. Local, I say local. An hour away is a drive, but it was local to me. I start working there, and it was the first time. The whole reason I went on this whole long-winded story is because it was the first time I was taught to design in scale. And that's a big deal when it comes to the vehicle industry. So when you go to college for graphic design these days, like, they don't teach designers really to design and scale. They teach you how to design a logo. They teach you how to do business cards and flyers and websites. I did websites, but they never taught us to design and scale.
It's
And
always
I
at
was like,
100%. Yeah.
how? How? $80,000? You would think that this is the basic foundation of the graphic design world. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. 8.5 by 11. You want to say that that's designing in scale? Sure. I'm
Mhm.
talking 1/10 scale, 1/20th scale, the type of math that us creative people can't do. That's really hard. So I learned how to do scale at this signage place, and we worked in Corel Draw. It was awful. It was awful.
Yep.
They were like, Corel Draw is what we use. And I was like, ooh. So for me, that was really hard because I knew as a young graduate, I had to stay proficient in the Adobe software. So that's why I had to leave that job. And
Mhm.
this is where that part of the story comes in. I find my first wrap shop. So my first wrap shop that I worked at was ID Wraps in Slatington, Pennsylvania. And the owner of that shop is Malcolm Geske. I never learned how to say his last name. He was a very like reclusive dude, but he's cool. So I got my first job there. I was looking to apply. He brought me in for an interview, showed me around the shop, and I was so nervous. Like, I was a young kid, I was looking for these jobs. You're all nervous on the interview, and I was like doing the normal, like being nervous and not making a really great impression. And then he took me out into the shop and he was showing me around the cars. And I always liked cars. Like, all through college, I liked being around the loud, fast cars. I was always like really passionate. You'd always catch me at a car show. Like, it was a big thing for me. And then he takes me into the garage and they're like putting these graphic design stickers on cars. And I was like, no way. This can't be real. This can't be real life. I was like, there's no way that this is real life. And I start geeking out because I'm a motorhead. I love the vehicle aspect of it. And then I was also really passionate about graphic design. So I start like geeking out in the shop. I was like, no way, no way. This can't be real. This is so cool. And then I saw one of their proofs and I saw the scale thing, like the slider, and I recognized it. I was like, hey, oh my gosh, like, I know what that is. You guys design in scale? And he was like, you're a graphic designer that knows how to design and scale? Sold. Like, instantly gave me my acceptance letter that day. So I worked there for, I want to say like 2 years. I think it was from like 2019 until 2021. And it was a great shop. Malcolm is a great dude, highly recommend, but he kind of liked to hire kids. And that's not a bad thing. Like, every business owner is entitled to kind of run their shop their own way, but he liked to hire the kids. He liked the younger, cheaper labor. And that's fine. Like, everybody has their own opinion when it comes to running a business, but I had bigger dreams, like, I really wanted to do something. I wanted to make a difference in the industry. And I knew working at like a wrap shop where he's just hiring a bunch of kids wasn't really going to get me there. So at this point is when I started to do some research and really like start to figure out the industry as a whole. And that's when I came across Kickcharge Creative. And I'm sure everybody listening knows who they are. So I started to discover Kickcharge like 2019, 2020, I would say is when my fandom began because I quickly became a fangirl. Um, and I started to just look at their wraps because I was a young wrap designer, young graphic designer working in a wrap shop. And you'd have these people come in and they'd be like a plumbing company and they'd give you a logo so you didn't have a lot to work with. It's like an old crappy logo and you're stuck because you don't have a lot to work with. And then I would look up like how do I spruce this up, like plumbing wraps, this, that, the other thing. And because Kickcharge is so known for what they do, the top of Google results is Kickcharge stuff. So I was like, man, what's this Kickcharge? Like they're pretty cool. And I start looking into the company and I realized they were in New Jersey. And I was like, no way. Like I thought it was like California type stuff, by the way, that they have their online presence. I was like, there's no way I could ever. That's like Disneyland.
Mm.
So I saw that they were in New Jersey. I was like, no way. And that was coming towards when I realized I wanted to grow after the ID wrap stuff. And I put an application in. And then COVID shut the world down. So Kickcharge was hiring for a graphic designer before COVID, but then COVID shut the world down. So I sent my application in, but COVID happened. And I really wanted on to the next bigger, better thing. So I was looking around, looking around. Kickcharge wasn't really hiring anymore. And I wanted out of ID wraps. It got to the point where he was hiring like so many kids. It was just getting to the point where I was like more so babysitting every day than actually getting work done. And that's not me. Like I want to get my shit done. I want to get better at my skill. If I have to babysit kids all day, like I just don't want it. So I ended up finding Bay Image is a local wrap shop in the Poconos in Pennsylvania. And they are also pretty cool. And at the time, Bay Image, I think, was still a preferred installer for Kickcharge.
Mhm.
So that was kind of like my gateway. I was like, okay, this could be something. This could help me get to the next step because I had my sights set on Kickcharge pretty much straight away. Like as soon as I found the industry and I found Kickcharge, I was like, that's where I want to be. So I ended up finding Bay Image and I was like, well, if Kickcharge isn't going to hire me, like I have to find something else. Ended up getting my job there, and the owner is Chris Figueroa. He's awesome. He's a cool dude. He trains for Avery Dennison now. So he's pretty present in the industry, like training for Avery Dennison and stuff. Super cool dude. Loved working for him. It was a blast. It was like fun every day. He made it so exciting. And I was just always passionate about the industry. I was always so hungry to learn more, like testing out different print methods and different ways to hit different colors. Like I was listening to the one episode of your podcast, and somebody was talking about how their installer was taking notes and like playing with the vinyl and getting different glue lines and stuff like that and trying a bunch of different things. And that's crazy for me because we do that too as designers. And I don't know if anybody that's an installer recognizes that same kind of thought process does happen in our heads too. Like if we save it out as a JPEG, how does it print? And if we save it out as a PNG, can we still hit the same color? But what if it's a PDF? And we start to do these things and play with it and learn about how we can hit different things. So a lot of that like learning and exploration kind of happened at ID Wraps where we had a client visiting Angels and we would do like wrap kits for them and stuff. So we were printing them and I noticed some of them are full wraps, some of them are partials. The full wraps were being printed as JPEG RIP files and the partials were being printed as PDF, obviously, because you have to have the cut path. So we were printing that. And then when we would ship out all these wrap kits, I would see them standing up, like how you have to roll them up and put them in boxes next to each other. I'd see them next to each other. And I'm like, damn, that color looks off. Like it doesn't look like the color matches. I was like, what the hell's up with that? So I start looking at it closer. It didn't. Like if you hold it, how you could do the vinyl on vinyl and see the color right next to each other. So I start doing that kind of stuff and I was like, that doesn't look right. So then I start testing, I start playing. I was like, how can I get this to match? And I love doing that kind of stuff. So I was testing it and testing it. I found if you save your JPEG, okay, stay with me. If you save your JPEG out, just like you would do for the regular full wrap, where we're saving those JPEG panels to the RIP at like 1400 DPI or something insane, save your JPEG, you bring it back into Illustrator as a JPEG, and then put your cut path over it, save that as a PDF, send it to the RIP, color matched perfect. Perfect. You couldn't tell the difference. And then we made that change and I start doing files that way. So it's like my entire career, I was always really looking for that stuff. What can I change? What can I tweak? What can I improve? So that way, when I went to Bay Image, I had something to share with him. I was like, hey, if you're having trouble with color, I have a solution. and I really started to take this leadership role everywhere I went. And that was really cool. So I ended up working at Bay Image pretty much just in 2021. It was a very short time there. I worked there just under a year. I think it was like 9 months. But my whole entire experience there was amazing. Chris is a great dude. He's awesome. If anybody's out there looking to get trained, go get trained by him. He's the best. But towards my end of the time there, Dan's ready to hire again from Kickcharge, and he finds my paperwork. And this is why I love Chris so much. So Dan's getting ready to hire. He finds my resume and he remembered he liked it. So he found it and he remembered that I worked at Bay Image or whatever. Like he knew I worked at Bay Image because Chris and Dan are friends. Like Chris takes care of Dan's cars, and Dan would bring Chris work with the vehicle wraps. Like they're very close friends. So Dan's getting ready to hire, finds my paperwork, and he's like, "Hey, Chris, does Jen still work for you? Because if she does, I'm not even going to bring her in for an interview. But if she doesn't, I'll bring her in," because he's a good friend. He wouldn't want to do that to Chris. And Chris turns around and he goes, "Hey, man, listen, this is her path. This is her career. Like if she wants to come work for you, that's her decision. And I'm okay with whatever she chooses. But we have to we have to let her make that decision for herself." And he told Dan that. And I was like, holy shit. I have so much respect for you. Like, as a business owner, to let a good employee go like that takes guts, courage. I respect him so much. Honestly, he's such a great dude. So he ended up letting me go. And then I got my dream of being able to work at Kickcharge, which honestly, I can't even express in words how amazing that entire thing was. But the thing that sucked, that I really struggled with, is I got in this situation where it's like I finally got my dream job, like I got the thing I was chasing my whole life for, essentially. And I still wasn't satisfied. And it wasn't that Kickcharge was a bad place to work. It's literally the best place in the world to work. But I still had these feelings of like not being satisfied. And that really messed with me. It was this weird dynamic where I was like, I have everything I could ever want, but I'm still not satisfied. And that made me really like messed up. So I was like, what possibly more could I want? And it got to the point where I just had the business owner itch. I had the business owner itch ever since I was a kid. And it was something that was never going to go away, no matter how much I hit it or however much I said, I have the perfect job. I don't need anything else. I was destined to be a business owner. This is just something that I guess I was called to. I couldn't shake that urge. And having to go into Dan's office and tell him I'm leaving Kickcharge to go start my own business was the most terrifying thing, because I have so much respect for Dan. You got to realize, like, most people, you say Kickcharge Creative, they're like, whoa, Kickcharge Creative. And to have to look Dan in the eye and be like, I'm leaving this to go into the unknown, it was like the scariest conversation that I ever had to have. But because he's a business owner and he's a professional, it was so warm and welcoming. And he made me feel so safe having that conversation. I'm very grateful for everybody in the industry that I had experiences with, because they all took such good care of me. And for him to be able to say, like, anything you need, if you ever need to call in a favor, like, you let me know. And you really kicked ass here and we appreciate everything that you did. Like, if you ever need anything in the industry, I have your back. Good luck, kid. And it was just so great. Like, to me, that was a really good experience. And to be able to leave on a good note and start this whole thing. So, long story short, that's kind of how I accidentally fell into the industry, but I fell in love with it. It was so quickly, like, just the hands on, being able to get up from your computer when you're designing and go touch vinyl, and trial and error, and testing the films and testing the ink and pushing the limits and pushing the envelope and just pushing everything to its max, getting your hands in it. And then being at Kickcharge with that incredible team, getting to interact with some of the most talented illustrators from the entire country. It was just like amazing. And now I'm here sitting with you, sharing experiences about my own business. And now I get to help business owners from all over the country. Like, I have clients in Boston, California, Michigan that I've done wraps for. And I design it. And then I just send them their files and I say, like, find a local wrap shop. But someday I think my dream would be to build a network of wrap shops I trust all over the country, with people like you, that I
Well,
know
yeah,
and
obviously.
trust, and kind of like just have places to send people. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, and you can start that at any time. I mean, the people that you work with, the people that you send, like, where are you at? What wrap shop did you use? Who did you, and that's just all about networking. So a big part of it. But, back to the like your bosses, I just wanted to comment on that. Like, yeah, when you have an employer that is willing to see you for more than what you are to them, and they are willing to say, no, this is like you need to grow. You thank you for your time here. If you feel like you need to grow or leave to grow more, like that's what you need to do. That's the sign of a good employer or a good leader. If
Yeah.
you don't have, because I've seen both sides of it.
Yep.
I've seen both sides of it where, people will say, "Oh no, it's time for me to go," and an employer or leader gets mad at them. Like, "You're never going to make anything." I've been in that situation before.
I have too. Malcolm was
So
like that when I
like,
left ID Wraps. It was very
yeah.
like, oh man, you're going to Bay Image. Like, and I thought
Mhm.
Chris was a better friend than that. Like, it was
Yeah.
very like, you either get one side or the other. And for me, when Chris was like, listen, I understand and I know what Kickcharge can do for you,
Mhm.
go. All of the respect in the
Yeah.
world for the rest of my life for that man. Like, truly.
Yeah, I literally had a boss tell me one time when I was leaving, and I was, again, you mentioned you were working an hour away. I did the same thing. It's at one point in my, actually a couple different times, but like there
Yeah.
was one I was driving, 50 minutes one way, and when I said, listen, like at the time, like I had my second daughter was about to be born, and I was like, I need to be closer to home, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, listen, and plus, like, I had come to find out I'd been there for a few years, and the environment was starting to get a lot more toxic, and I just couldn't be around it anymore. I said, listen,
Yeah.
I'm going to find something new. I'm going to find something closer to home. I will stay on for a full month and like let you like fill this role, and I'll train whoever comes in here and show them how we do things around here. And he straight looked at me and said, like, if you leave, like, I'll hire someone in your position and I'll hire them for more money. And my response
Wow.
was, great. It's not going to keep me here. Like, if you're trying to keep me here, it's not going to work.
No.
So, but I've been on the other side as well, where you say, you know what, hey, I've kind of done everything that I need to do here that I think I can do or whatever. And I think it's time for me to move on. And those people who are saying, no, you're absolutely right. Thank you for your services and, everything like that. Like, good luck in the future. I'm here if you ever need anything. And I have plenty of bosses who I'm still in touch with. I'll write an email
Yeah.
to or a text with every now and again and ask them something, and they're, you know, less than a day later, they're responding to me or, picking up the call and, and helping. So like that's the kind of like leader and boss that I want to be, for when I eventually have employees and things like that, because like, I want everyone to do, you want everyone to live up to their potential,
Yeah.
and if you can only take them so far, but somebody else can take them farther, then why would you chain them? Why would you keep
Yes.
them
It's
around?
almost it's almost selfish,
Mhm.
it's
It's
almost
very
selfish to want
selfish.
to keep that for yourself.
Mhm.
So it's to see the selflessness of
Yeah.
Chris to be willing to let me go onto like bigger, better pastures for lack of a better term. Not that his shop was anything less than Kickcharge, but
Mhm.
he knew, especially as a designer too. Like I think if I were an installer, it would have been a totally different story because like Kickcharge doesn't really have the installation side. Like they are partnered with the CL Visual, and I saw they made some changes recently because so much changed since I left. Like literally, I left Kickcharge in like 2023, like right at the end of 2023, and that was when like he was partnering with Mello and all of that was going down. And now it's like pretty much like totally overhauled. I think they hired 30 or 40 people. Like their team's huge now. It doubled, tripled, quadrupled something. It's huge. But just so much growth since I left. So he's kind of doing a million and one things. And I know he like partnered with CL Visual. So now that there is technically an extension. There is like a Kickcharge Wrap
Yeah.
division
Chris
now,
DeFeo, right?
but it's
Yeah.
through Chris DeFeo. So
Yeah.
it's like Kickcharge now can say that they have their own Wrap division, but it's still through DeFeo.
Mhm.
But they technically have their own now. But when I was there, like it was just design only, really. So I wasn't around like the actual installation side. Like, yes, I was managing proofs and I was lucky because I really got to step into a leadership role kind of straight away there. Like, because I had the vehicle experience, I was able to spearhead a lot on their vehicle team. When I when I got there, they were still putting their designs in clipping masks.
Mhm.
And then when you would open the clipping mask, it would explode onto the front and back of the other side of the van. I was like, guys, we got to lock this up.
Yeah.
So I ended up kind of It was really nice because Dan did allow me a lot of room for growth in a leadership role straight away. And I know that that can be hard for a new person. Like, as a boss, it's like, look at this new guy thinking that he knows everything. Like, I can understand what that looks like from a boss's perspective now that I am one. But at the time, it was like he kind of just let me go. You know, it was never that I never felt a moment where he was like, oh, look at this new kid thinking what they, thinking that they know everything. It was never like that. It was, she knows her stuff, let her grow, let her grow as much as she can. And that was really cool. I really respect him for that. So I was able to just kind of pioneer and spearhead the rap division essentially straight away. So I got together with Josh Watkins, was the lead designer at the time of the rap division, and we put our brains together and I said, listen, this is what we got to improve. This is what we got to fix because we're Kickcharge Creative and we have a reputation, and the people working with our files, these need to be the best files in existence. Like, they need to be clean, they need to be up to spec. We can't have clipping masks exploding on the other sides. We're effing Kickcharge Creative. And he took it so well. He was like, yeah, we are. It was really this, like, we rallied behind it to improve this process. It was cool. And put our brains together. I was like, you need the mask layer, you need the template layer, you need the design layer. If there's spot cut stuff, that needs to go on its own layer. Like, we really sat down and put like a plan together. And then DeFeo jumped in and he was like, because we use them for most of our stuff, he jumps in and he's like, hey, if you guys can lock this spacing down, because he has a whole process where they basically automate their print production side of things. So everything's locked down to spec where there's a certain spacing between each side of the vehicle that they run it through a script and it generates the panels for them. So now they can automate that process. It's so cool. Dude, he's so good. He's so good. I love him. But because of that, we also added that to our process. So now every file they were getting from Kickcharge was pre-vetted. They didn't even have to do their spacing. It was done. So they just send it through the rip and the prints are done. Now they're on the road. So they really took a lot of time to streamline their process. Kickcharge as well. And they really went hand in hand and we just knocked it out, man. It was good. Got to the point where Dan went to one event and actually saw Malcolm from ID Raps. And Malcolm like ran up to him all excited, like a little fan. And he's like, oh my God, Dan, Kickcharge. And he's like, oh yeah, Jenn Stank, she is a powerhouse, knocking stuff out for us every day. And then he just kind of went on his way. And Dan told me that story when he came back. He's like, yo, I saw your old boss. I made sure to remind him how awesome you are. Cause he kind of, he didn't really like, there were times I think Malcolm didn't really see me for what I was worth. We had this huge project at ID Raps. It was like 200,000 $200,000 in total project. It was a big beefy boy for a local Pennsylvania wrap shop, and it was through Precise Design Group we were partnering with for the project. So we did all of the Weiss cooler units, like Weiss grocery store. All of their exterior cooler units, their pickup or delivery, came through ID Wraps. So we were managing that project, and it was a huge project. It was bigger than what ID Wraps was capable of handling at the time. I'll just say politely. So what I did is I took a look at this. I knew this project was coming down. Malcolm kind of wanted me on it, but not all the way, because at the time we had two designers, Nikki and Charlene, and they were older than me. They were more experienced in the industry. They were kind of in it since it started. I was the newer kid coming into it in like 2019, but they were great in teaching me. So Nikki was kind of in charge of like actually ripping the panels, because I still didn't know that part yet. But all of like the project management, I almost stepped into like a project manager role in that project. So what I did is I put a Google spreadsheet together, because you can share a Google spreadsheet where like an Excel, you couldn't really share at the time. It was like a file on your computer, but with a Google spreadsheet, you could share it with everybody. And everybody had a Gmail account at the time at ID Wraps. So I was like, this is an opportunity. So what I ended up doing is I put together a Google spreadsheet and I screenshotted every panel of the cooler unit, all however many. And the problem with this project was there were 4 different configurations, 8 different ways. So basically there was pickup or delivery or pickup only. And then you had units where it sat to the right of the entrance, to the left of the entrance. And then you have units that have an awning or don't have an awning, because some stores have an overhang and some don't. So the ones that don't need an awning and blah, 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 you get the gist.
And all these
So
different configurations for the installers
all
to
of these
figure
different
out.
configurations. Yeah. And I'm like, I couldn't keep my head straight. How are we going to keep this project organized? Because I couldn't keep my head straight. The entire design team, it was like that episode of SpongeBob where they're all running around and his brain on fire. So I was like, I don't know what to do here. And Malcolm really wasn't managing. he kind of got to the point where his wrap shop was running itself and he had his team, even though it was like some kids and some old heads. Like, I would call Nikki and Charlene old heads, even though they were like 30 to 40s, but they gave a shit. They cared about the quality of their work. And there's a lot of young kids out there these days that have a lot of passion and drive. And I'm so thankful to see it, but there's a lot that don't. And there's a lot that are just lazy and half-ass stuff and don't like put their name behind their work the way that like older generations do. So there was a lot of that. But I was like, okay, if nobody's going to manage this, I guess I have to.
Mhm.
And I put this Google spreadsheet together. I screenshotted every panel and I put it like in the Google spreadsheet so you had a visual representation of what it looked like. Every different configuration, every different panel that's a part of it, what store, what location it needs to be shipped to, the address, everything. Okay. Put it together in this spreadsheet. And then I color coded it. So the little squares in the Google spreadsheet I had that you can change the color of the block. So what that let me do is when I sent so many prints, like to print, so many panels to print, I'd check those boxes like yellow, which meant that they were printing. And then when it came off the printer, I'd change them to pink, which means that they were ready for production. And then when Sam finished it down in production and laminated everything and trimmed it and kitted it up and it was ready to be shipped, she'd change it to green and it would go out to be in the shipping area. So I started to like systemize this process because
That's a production manager. You became a production manager.
it was the only
Yeah.
way it was going to work. And
Yeah.
I knew it, and everybody around me knew it, but nobody else knew how to put it into motion. So I ended up taking the lead there. I put that into motion. I shared it with everybody. That way, the office person knew what was going on. Malcolm can oversee it from his computer because bosses love that. And I had a system up and running that was usable for everybody that honestly, they probably still use to this day. And our other biggest client, Blue Ridge, I did the same thing. Put together a Google spreadsheet. And it was one of the few times he was like, you know what? You really kicked ass with that. The only other time that I had him like praise me was when we were doing this trailer I did the JPEG hack with. So I did the JPEG with the cut path and it was black and we were hitting that like rich, like 60, 40, 40, 100 black. And I did my cut line because even if you had the right black mix, like whatever black mix it is that your shop uses to get your rich black, whatever specific mix it is that your printer takes, whenever you find that, you write it down, you get it tattooed on your arm, whatever. So we had our black mix, but when you print it as a PDF, it always jacked up the color. None of us could figure out why that was happening. So when I started to do my little JPEG trick and I exported all of my panels as JPEGs at 1400, stitched them together, put my cut path over it, and saved it as a PDF, we had a partial wrap come in for a trailer. It was like a barbecue smokehouse trailer, huge thing. It was one of those big ass 30 footers, and we did partial graphics on it to help the dude save on cost because the square footage was insane. Like he paid a full car wrap for his partial because it was just so huge. But when it came out, they installed that whole thing. I did this like blend effect, so I had these flames kind of coming up and around it because it was like smokehouse. But I did a blend effect. So on my entire cut contour stroke, I did a feathered black stroke as well. So it feathered black into the print and then it turned to solid black right where it was going to be cut. So when they put it on the black trailer, it literally looked like a full wrap. You couldn't even see the seam. You couldn't even see the seam. And Malcolm was standing in the garage. He turned to me. He's like, I don't know how you did that, but that's awesome. It was one of those moments that I was just like, it makes you feel good. But I love the rap industry. I fell so in love with it to the point where when I was working at Bay Image, I came back. My sister was getting her wisdom teeth out. I had a half day and I was coming back from that appointment and it was like lunchtime at work or whatever. So Chris was like running the morning by himself because it was just me and him in the office. Like he had a bunch of guys in the garage, but they were in the garage all the time because he had like the detached garage at the time and now he's expanded and everything, but it's still detached from the house because it's like he like lives at his property and it's also commercial zoned. Um, so all the guys would be in the garage. It was just like me and Chris in the office. So I came in that day at like lunchtime. He just started printing a van for his one client, Clark Roofing. And I come in and I'm like, and I'm smelling. I'm like, Chris, what are you doing? He's like, what? I was like, you're printing on like the IC40. I don't even remember the names anymore. I used to remember the names so much. It's been a while, but the 40C, the control tack or something, is that it?
Yeah,
And
probably. Sounds right.
Yeah, it was like 40C, I think was what it was. It was the budget stuff, like for
Mhm.
the box trucks where you
Yep.
don't have to like worry about it holding to fenders. If it's just a box truck, you would do like the 40C. I
Yep.
was like, what are you doing? You're putting the van on 40C. He's like, how did you know that? I was like, I could smell it. So we swapped it out really quick because he just started printing it. He's like, how did you smell that? I was like, I just loved it. I could tell every vinyl apart by the smell. I knew every name of every vinyl right off the bat. I knew the brand that it was carried. And we even had it like at ID Wraps when we had that huge project for all those cooler units. We had so much product moving through the shop. We color coded everything. So like the IJ 180 was like red. We had the 40C was in black. We had, window perf was in orange, whatever. Like we color coded everything. So you could just look at the whole rack and just grab and go. Like the less time you had to spend reading a label, the better. So
Oh yeah.
I loved, I think the biggest thing for me that I fell in love with was the automation part of the wrap shop. There's almost a factory aspect of it. And both my parents were factory workers. When they had the huge warehouse boom, like in the 1980s, both my parents were on factory floors. So I really have this like systematic approach to everything. And pairing that with a wrap shop, I was just like everywhere I went. I was organizing, I was color coding, I was systemizing, I was automating, like everywhere I went. I loved it so much. And then when it came time to start my own business, forget it. Talk about automations and systems and everything like that. It just became a whole new a whole new world to be uncovered and discovered. So it was just the coolest thing. And then I stumbled across your Instagram. I'm like, wow, I have to reach out. I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited what you're doing. And I'm such a history nerd too. And I was really excited about your podcast because I got into the industry in like 2019. So I had a pretty late start. And I didn't get to learn about all the super fun early stuff where it was like the most pain in the ass industry and only the people that were like insane were a part of it. And now look at all of you guys, like the system that you've built. And then I actually got to meet Justin Pate through Kickcharge. It was I can't even experience,
Love
I
Justin.
don't even have words for that
Yeah.
experience. I was
Yeah. I
like,
love
it's
Justin.
him.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
mean, well, I mean, you get into the industry at 2019. I mean, that's nothing. I mean, I think that has to do with an age thing, right? I mean, it's like you
Yeah.
can't help that. That's nothing that you can, control what you can. Um, but yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough, I started back in early 2000s.
Yeah.
I kind of fell in love with it. Like I was, being like I graduated high school in 2000, so I was part of that Fast and Furious
Yep.
club. Like seeing that Evo and that RX-7 in the very first one, with the decals and everything, like I was like, oh, that's so cool. And in the second one, like, what they did with those, and then not realizing until years later when I got into the industry how they actually did those. And though, like
Yep.
the funny thing, like I think I saw a video at one point where I think it was Too Fast, Too Furious. They talked about the graphics on those vehicles, the spider web design on the Eclipse, and the design on the what was it? It was an Evo that Brian drove, but it was all a wet install. It was non-air release, just like it was either calendared or or cast vinyl, non-air release, basically signed vinyl, and they were
Yeah.
spraying soapy water on the sides and doing the installs like that. And I remember when I heard about that, I was like, because when I started, like there was control tack, there was films with air egress, so I didn't have to start, like I was a little bit in the middle, but I was just like, what, like they had to do these cars like that. Now, don't get me wrong, I have done cars like
Wow.
that, but more often than not, we were using a control tack film or something like that. We were using like the very first version of IJ 180 with the big cross hatches that you can see from across a parking lot, which again, like, good, because that's just how the glue, that's how the adhesive is. It's got these big, massive cross hatches in them, and it still exists today. People use it for for box trucks and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but that's and once I got my hands on a car, for me it was game over.
Yep.
Doing signs and everything like that, that was one thing, but once was able to design and then put something on a car, I was like, oh, you mean I can draw something on a piece of paper and then take that idea and put it on the computer and then I can print it and then put it on the car. Like that for me was like, all right, like I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
sold. Like that's where I want to be. I like that. The fact that you can take something and look at it, you know, this big on a piece of paper and then in actuality it's 100 times bigger or whatever. That's and completely flawless, by the way, because you're using vector graphics or you're designing at, whatever proper scale you need to make sure that the design is crisp and nice and
Yep.
looks great and everything like that. So, and
Oh,
that's what
absolutely.
yeah, and that's one thing like a lot of people that aren't in the industry don't understand. They don't understand those little nuances, because you even said it yourself. You get this crappy logo that Paul and Jan did themselves in Microsoft Word for their plumbing
Yep.
industry. And, they're like, this is our logo and we've had this for 3 years and we want to keep this logo. And you're just like, do you have to? Like, can I like bring it into like, can I update it or whatever? And I think that's an advantage that Kickcharge has over a lot of other like because they
Yes.
are a design agency. People go to them for branding. Like that's the thing. Kickcharge is they're not a wrap house. They're not, what I'm saying? They don't strictly design for vehicles. It's a
Yeah.
brand. It's a whole process for branding. The good thing is what someone is doing is they're saying, I have an outdated brand. I would like to update my brand. And then they're able to take that design and put it across a whole bunch of different applications. And that's why a lot of the stuff that comes out of Kickcharge in particular and other places that do that have an advantage when it comes to all of their designs looking great is because they're
Yes.
not handed something that's crap and they have to use it. Um,
Right.
so that's the thing that I still fight with to this day. And as a business owner in the rap industry, you can't always say, you know what, I want to just like give me like 500 or $1,000 or like whatever, and I'll just like spruce this thing up for you and make it better so that way it works with what I want to give you. You have to take that and make it work for them. And you have to put your ego to the side and go,
Yeah.
we're doing this for them. And at the end of the day, I'm still making money. So it's a win-win, but it's not going to be like portfolio material per se,
Yeah.
So
I think
that's,
that that's I think that that's an exceptional point that you make there. Just because I feel like most graphic designers that work at a typical wrap shop are faced with a unique position
yeah.
because it's no longer you're not a designer anymore. It's not somebody coming to you and saying, "Hey, I need a business card and I have nothing. Can you spin something up?" It's no longer that type of thing. The ball is no longer in your court. It's now this unique use case where they come to you and they say, here's what we have and we need a wrap. Period.
Mhm.
End of it. The ball's in their court, and there's no way when you're approached in that manner to have the ball in your court. You
Yeah.
have to just kind of do what they say. They have a logo and they need a wrap. I need to fulfill that request. So, in a wrap shop setting specifically, it is so different. And that's why I gravitated so much to Kickcharge initially. Not only did I love their work and I love Dan and what he stands for and things like that, but I also love what they're doing in the industry. And I love that they're making it better in this way where now they're introducing a new system where they can do the branding and they can do all the strategic stuff. And somebody can come to a wrap shop and say, I need a wrap. I hired a professional company to do the design. Here's the files. And all you guys have to do is just print and install because that's where you make money. The
Mhm.
client's going to make money because they have a strong design that's backing their business. And Kickcharge makes money because they got to bring a brand to life. Literally,
Yeah.
everybody wins in that scenario. And I love that they've presented the industry with this new model. I think it's going to speak wonders. And I'm very excited to see where it goes in the future because I'm already experiencing it. People come to me for branding. They understand I'm a professional. They say, I need a brand and I have a fleet. and I design vehicle wraps, I'm able to say, here's your files. And currently they just find whatever wrap shop is closest to them. But eventually in time, I do want to have that network where I could say, okay, you're in Michigan. Here's this shop, and this shop in Michigan that I recommend. Oh, okay, you're in Ohio. Here's this shop, and this shop in Ohio that I recommend. And if you use a shop that's out of network, you want to start doing this like out of network thing. If you use a shop that's out of network, I can't help you if there's issues. But if you use a shop that's in network, if there's printing issues, I will troubleshoot free of cost. There's that kind of thing that you can start to do, and Kickcharge is doing that already, and they're doing it well. So it's just really exciting to see where
Mhm.
it's going to go and all of the people that are participating. I love the creative industry, the rap industry as a whole, because it's kind of like a family. Like we're
It
all in it
is.
to make it better.
Yeah,
All of us are contributing our ideas. The competition thing is gone. It's dead. Like we're all out here actively making this a better place for the future generation to come. And I love that. Like that's just
Mhm.
the coolest thing to be part of, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, it is really nice. I still feel like I feel like sometimes you get undercut, like there's those types of people
Yeah.
out there that'll still do something for like almost nothing. And that's another thing that, again, the regular everyday person, they just don't understand the value. They don't understand the
Yeah.
work that goes into all of these things. They don't understand like, when I say that a wrap is going to cost them $3,500 and oh, I'm going to charge you an extra 550 to $1,000 or whatever for the design, and they go, wait, so I'm paying 4 grand or $4,500 for something that you said was going to be 35. And I'm like, well, yes and no. That's broken into sections because what if you bring me a design that's already ready to go? It just needs to be printed, or like now it's that original cost. I'm not having to pay a designer. I'm not having to take the time to go back and forth with you if I'm designing it. Um,
Right.
and that's the one thing, that's kind of one reason why I stopped doing a lot of design, is because like designers, like we kind of, it sucks for us sometimes because people go, well, just can't you just like, especially with AI now and Chat GPT, can't you just run this through Chat GPT and come up with a logo? Or can't you just, isn't it just going to like take you a couple of hours? You know what? Even if it does take me a couple of hours, I'm still going to charge you what I charge you because that's what I'm worth.
Yes.
There's a guy out there. I don't. You probably followed him. He's an Asian gentleman. He's a designer, and he does this. He's got this video where he talks about time versus flat rate when it comes to design. Okay, I'm going to charge you hourly. Well, if I'm charging you hourly, what makes me not just take all the time in the world? And at the end of the day, am I still giving you a product that you're going to be happy with and that I'm proud of? But if I'm charging you a flat rate and I finish it in 2 hours, why, like, oh, well, shouldn't I pay less for that? Well, see, now you're valuing money over the end product. So, like, there's that back and forth. Like, what do you value the most? Are you going to value the end product, or are you going to value the money? And that, again, is, I have to talk to that with I actually ask my clients, what do you value? Like, what is important to you? Okay,
Yep.
cost saving, like, okay, you need something economical, but you also want like the best quality wrap you can get, like in terms of install. Okay, fine. We're going to meet you in the middle. I can give you those too, but guess what? I can't give it to you fast. I'm going to take my time with it because I'm
Yeah.
not charging
Yep.
you a lot and it's going to be really good. So I'm going to take as much time as I want because that's telling me you don't value time.
Yep.
So it's like,
It's
what do
like
you?
it's like the fast, cheap, good
Yep.
slider, and you
Pick
can't have
two.
all three.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pick two. Yeah. I
Yep.
almost, I almost, when I was coming up with the name Big Sticker, I almost did pick two like wraps or pick two designs or something like that
That's cool.
because I was very much into that. You can have two of these three. It's either going to
Yep.
be good, it's going to be fast, or it's going to be cheap. Like pick two because you're not going to have all three. That's a utopia that does not exist.
Yeah.
So And you know, people just don't understand that. So like I literally do. I mean, heck, I had a consult with somebody on Friday and I said, "Hey, like I know you're talking to other people like about doing these projects for you, but like how can I bring value to you? Like what can I do to help make sure that I'm doing the best I can for you?" And they were just like, "Well, we need someone to handle, you know, all of the design. We need someone to do all of the printing for us, all the installation, and then be able to do this for years down the road with multiple different types of equipment and all that kind of stuff." And I'm like, "Okay, great. I can do that. No problem." You know,
Yep.
so, but then again, there are plenty of people that can do that. So for me, like I want to be a fleet manager in terms of wraps, you
Oh
know,
man, that is
like
like my ideal too.
so like fleet, like I don't want to, I don't want to manage your fleet, but I want to manage your fleet wraps. If you have 20 trucks and they're all different and you want me to wrap all of them, okay, great. I understand you probably can't wrap all 20 of them in a year. That's a lot of money. But maybe what we can do is do three this quarter and three and a quarter and like two more quarters. And I'm going to take those and I'm going to have the VIN number. And in 3 to 5 years or whatever the schedule we work out, I'm going to contact you and say, "Hey, truck number whatever is due for this." Like, so that way they don't have to worry about it.
That's awesome.
So,
That's
like,
awesome. It's like we have a little app for our pets that reminds us like when they're due for a
right.
service or due for a renewed vaccine. And to add that to your shop and be like, hey, did you know like your 3 to 5 years is up? I know it kind of sounds skeevy, but some of the local wrap shops, when I was there and I was designing and my 5 years were up, because it was like 2019 when I started, and realizing that 3 to 5 years was up and I started my own business, I was actually reaching out to some clients that were local, that I knew were clients of local wrap shops. And I knew that their 5 years was up. And that was a good time for me to reach out and be like, hey, your wrap is due for a renewal, you should consider a rebrand. If you're going to be pulling all of these wraps off at this point and you're going to have to rewrap them anyway, now would be an exceptional time to look at a rebrand if you're interested in pursuing a rebrand. Like now's the optimal time. Now's the time you're going to save the most money. So I was kind of reaching out to some that I knew were around that same time. So that's a great way of just, hey, did don't forget that you're due for a maintenance. And then it's just a great way to keep that business turning.
Yeah. And you know, at the same time, like any vehicle that I wrap, as long as the customer comes back to me within the warranty period of the film, I will do the removal for free as long as they're getting another wrap.
Yeah.
So like, but if it's something that I didn't wrap or they're outside of that warranty period, like I'm going to charge you hourly for the removal.
Yeah.
So that's just how it is. But not charging for that removal when they're getting a rewrap is incentive for them to keep their wrap looking fresh and to have them come back to me, because if they go to another shop, guess what? They're probably going to get charged to
That's
have the
smart.
removal done and everything. So there are little things like that that I suggest all business owners in the wrap industry do. And again, for me, like I'm still new. I may have been in the industry for 20 years, but I'm still under a year as a business owner. So for me, it's
Mhm.
all like, you know, it's marketing, it's getting your name out, it's advertising and things like that. And you're right there too. It's
Yep.
how do I make myself known within the industry, especially within the industry, so that way shops like mine you know or anybody who has a small shop, it doesn't necessarily have a designer, because I know plenty of them. They run
Yeah.
they run six-figure shops and they don't have a designer, because guess what? They're hiring designers like you to do all of
Yep.
their design stuff, which is, I think that's a win-win because they don't have to worry about it. And that's why they're taking that $3,500 wrap and then charging an extra 550 or 750 or 1250 or whatever it is for a design, to pay you, make a little bit on top for being the middleman. That's what it is.
Yep.
And it just makes sense.
It does. It really does. And just to go back a little bit where you said about being known in the industry, I was dying to ask you because I remember you said in the email when we first like touched base about the podcast that you actually heard of me somehow, and I was dying to ask how.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you came up. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you came up in my feed or something one day, or some of your art.
Yeah.
I honestly I couldn't be, but I recognized your logo. when
Okay.
when I looked you up and I recognized the logo and of course the name, like you don't forget a name like Stankin, right?
I know.
But no, I recognized it. And so when I saw the email, I was like, oh, I recognize, like, I don't know where, I don't remember when I've seen it or whatever, because whatever I've seen before, I was like, oh, that's very Kickcharge-esque. Like,
Yeah.
because again, like the Kickcharge and Dan Antonelli, like again, he's been in the industry for so many years, but he has a very particular style. And
He
that
does.
style has become more and more popular. And that style is literally kind of becoming like the baseline for a lot of commercial vehicle wraps now. You see that style everywhere, really large, whether it be a character or, brand mark or something like that, taking up, a big side, and then, the name of the company with a couple of pieces of contact information. And
Yep.
like, and that's it. Like, because
Yep.
that's all you need. And God, I've been pushing that for 20 years in terms of like telling people, like, no, 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 like you need who you are and how to get a hold of you. You don't
Yes.
need that you do windows, walls, floors, ceilings, like tile. Like you don't need all of that stuff. Put all that stuff on a business card or on your website or whatever. You don't need all of that.
Yep.
But when you're being handed a logo and a list of demands, it's really, really, it's a lot. It's very difficult to
It's
steer someone
different.
away from, and coax them into, and that's our job as designers, is to help steer a client into what's best for them, not what they want,
Yes.
but listen, this is what I believe is going to be best. And that's by asking the right questions. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And can we just talk about that for a second? Like,
Yeah.
literally, how Dan started this whole thing by being the disruption. And now that has become the industry standard. Like,
Mhm.
that's wild. I feel like you've achieved, like, you've succeeded, honestly. If you're able to achieve that, I feel like you've won at life.
Mhm.
Like, to come out into the industry and be this disruption, be the only one doing it. And now that has become the industry standard. Like, that's just crazy to me. And it's cool. I'm excited because it's more like this is helping business owners. This truly is helping business owners grow and get their names out there because you can't like I feel like for so long in the industry, like marketing and advertising and all that kind of stuff, it's like people would try to tell you their entire life story. They would try to tell you who they are and what they do and why they do it. And that stuff is super important. But they were jumping the gun. They were saying all that stuff on the first date. Like when you're out there and you're trying to get your name out there, all they care about is who you are and how to get in touch with you. Because once they get in touch with you, you can tell them the rest. You can tell them who you are and what you do and why you do it and all that super important stuff. But in the meantime, it's like, who are you and how can I get in touch with you? That's all
Well, yeah,
people
and I
really
mean,
are out there for.
and it's really simple, especially in the service industry. I mean, like I have your website up in front of me, and like just looking, like your very first one, you have Roofing Army.
Yeah,
It's a
that was a
roofing
good one.
company. I don't need to know anything else. You handle stuff on tops of buildings.
Yes,
That's
the
easy.
name says it. I
Yeah,
don't need to put a roof peak for them to get
exactly.
that.
Exactly. Same, the one right next to it, blue umbrella waterproofing. That
Yes,
okay, my basement's leaking. Maybe I'll call them. I don't know. Maybe they do that, maybe they don't. I'm going to go to their website and I'm going to check it out. I don't,
yes.
you don't need to put basements, roofs, all that kind of stuff. It's just it's simple, because simple is what matters. I try to we do this I do this thing I was telling you, like I'm part of a couple different groups, and I started like an accountability group from another like coaching group that I was in, because the past
Cool.
couple of weeks I've been really bad about holding myself accountable to like reaching my goals for the week, or saying what I'm going to do and then doing what I said. So I was like, listen, if anybody wants to like join me in trying to like keep yourself accountable to what your goals are, like join me in this WhatsApp group. And so we did that, and we've been doing it for a couple of weeks. And right now it's just like we had a little Zoom chat, and I was just like, listen, two goals for the week. Keep it simple, because a couple of the guys were like, "Oh, well, I need to do, this," and they went on this tangent about everything they need to do within their business. I'm like, "All right, whoa. Break that down. Make it simple. What are you going to do this week that's going to help you get to your end goal? Keep it simple so that way you can track it. So this
Yes.
more simplified something is, the easier it is to achieve or to make a decision. It goes in all industries. You know, if you go into a
Yes.
shoe store and you try on 100 different shoes, you're never going to be able to choose one, right? But if you break it down into three, like you'll be able to pick one out of three. You,
Yeah.
you know, Canes. You have Canes up there in Pennsylvania? Cane's chicken
Canes?
fingers. Do you have a Cane's chicken
No.
fingers? You don't? That must be a
No.
Southern thing. So it's literally Cane's chicken fingers is like, it's literally chicken fingers. That's what they sell. They sell chicken fingers and fries. They have four items on their menu. Four. And it's all about how many you want. They have a three finger, it's three chicken fingers with like fries or whatever and a drink. They have like a box, which is like four or five chicken fingers with a couple other things. They have like the big one, which is like six or seven, and then they have a sandwich. That's it, but it's all the exact same product. It's just how much of what are you going to order? And down here, there you cannot, it's like a Chick-fil-A. You cannot drive by one without seeing a line wrapped around the building. It's chicken.
Wow.
It's easy, right? Like, what are your choices? So I highly recommend, like, if you like processes and automations and things like that, I highly recommend figuring out a way to make whatever you offer your clients, make it simple for them to choose. When somebody asks you, oh, how much for X? Be able to have a price for them right here, like
Yep.
immediately. Oh, that's starting at $500. You know, whatever, I don't know. But like,
Yep.
so that way you have an item. And like, that's kind of been my thing for the past few months too, is making that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for me, it's so funny. It's honestly crazy how like-minded we are. It's awesome. I love getting to meet people like that. But for me, what I want to do is I don't know how in tune with like the design community you are, but for me, I've shifted. Like I started in the rap industry and I intend to stay there for life. Like it'll never not be a dream of mine to attend a SEMA show IRL. So like that is a long-term goal I am working towards. But and then also my fiance is an installer. So my fiance is a certified installer. He worked at Bay Image as well and got trained by Chris. So super awesome there. And he installs for me. So he does installations on the side. He doesn't have like a legit LLC or anything yet. That is coming in the future, but for now, he's a great installer. So it's like I'll do a job, get prints made, and then he's able to install it like in our garage. It's super awesome.
Yeah.
Um, love the rap industry, but I've pivoted more towards the brand side of things since I've started my business. And I kind of had to hyper focus. I had to learn. I had to learn more. I had to kind of immerse myself in that world. So I've had to like pause the rap stuff for a little bit. And now I'm in the design industry. But a lot of the big names are like Brands by Robin, Abby Connick, CJ Colley, a lot of these people in the industry. And it's so cool to see all of the things turning. It's so cool to see like the rap world kind of turning. It's so cool to see the creative world turning, and we're all like doing these automations and trying to make things better and help each other out and help each other grow, and it's just super cool.
Mhm. Agreed. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's like you said earlier, it is kind of a family. I haven't been it's kind of regrettable for me. I wish that I would have, I lost myself for almost a decade in the corporate world. And when I was in that corporate world, I kind
Yeah.
of like lost touch with everything. And it's just kind of funny is because when I left the job I was telling you about earlier, about the guy who was going to pay someone else more money, when I left that, I was in the middle of doing my own thing. I had started doing freelance installs and I was doing really well. And then I left and got into the corporate world because my thought was I need something substantial. I need something that's going to be there for me. I need,
Yeah.
it was, what's the word I'm looking for? I've totally gone blank.
It happens to me at least once a podcast. It just happened to me because the whole like I had to pivot to the design side of things. I
Yeah.
had a thought, but it left me. So I was like, I don't remember what I was
Yeah.
talking about. Sorry, I have to leave it here.
Yeah. I've totally forgotten.
It happens to me at least once a
Yeah,
podcast.
when you're I needed to make sure that I was able to take care of, my family. So
That's a
like
big one, yeah.
like that was huge. And like as a freelance installer, even though I was doing well, like there's that unknown. So I was like, all right, I can, if I take this corporate job, I'm going to have a 401k, I'm going to have benefits, I'm going to have a nice steady paycheck every week or every other week or whatever. And it makes sense. Like it's going to be there for me. I'll be able to retire there. It was a really good company. I was like, oh, I'm going to be able to retire here and work my way up the ladder. And it took me 7 years or a little bit less to realize, no, that wasn't the case. Um, and things kind of got flipped up on its head. And I was like, so it's like one of those things. Had I stayed doing what I was doing and doing the corporate thing for a while, I'd be so much further, as a
Yeah.
business owner in my career and that's the thing. That's why I'm doing this now is like, I got to have the freedom to do what I want when I want, but also the freedom to make money and provide for my family and things like that, like on my terms and not
Yeah.
on anybody else's terms. Like I don't want to make somebody else rich. Like that's not,
That's where I
I'm
same,
done.
literally.
Yeah.
I feel like every business owner kind of goes through this like internal mental struggle where you get to a point where you're just sitting there and you're like, for lack of a better term, like, excuse my French, but like, what the fuck am I doing?
Hmm.
Sitting there every day, log on the computer, log into the company system, start punching your hours, bang out 5 vehicle wraps a day. Thanks, Dan. Like
Hmm.
5 a day. Like,
Hmm.
no, it wasn't that bad. It was like 3 to 4 a day, which was still honestly tough for full vehicle wraps, wraps, front, back,
Yeah.
side, like whatever. But you'd be sitting there, same thing, 3 to 4 vehicle wraps every day, clock in, lunch, bell would ring, Dunkin' break, back to the office, 4 more wraps. And I was on the template side of things. So, like a lot of the designers at Kickcharge, and I'm not talking smack on Kickcharge, I loved it there and it was a good experience, but it's monotonous. Like when you're doing the same thing every day, sometimes it gets hard. And
Hmm.
it's a business efficiency thing. So I can't talk bad about it because it does make sense. When you're a business owner, to put somebody where they're good and put them in the same lane and have them do the same thing every day, that is where you do find like a maximum efficiency, but like we're humans. And I think we're getting to the point in the industry where we are going to revisit the old model of the 9 to 5. And I think we are going to start being more proactive as a society to kind of make it a little bit more tolerable and like more options in the future. But the normal 9 to 5, like the way that it's kind of structured now, it's like you go and log on, same thing every day, 3 to 4 vehicles, go home, drive home, make dinner, laundry, no time for your personal life. You're doing dinner, you're taking care of your animals or kids or both, and doing laundry and dishes, and the trash has to go out, and bills have to get paid. And did I make a dentist appointment? And all of this like adult stuff starts creeping in, and it's burnout city. It's so
Adulting
easy.
sucks. Adulting
It just
sucks.
gets everything sucks and you're miserable and everybody around you is miserable. And for people that still have an inner child, that sucks. So I
Hmm.
was just to the point where I was like sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
This is not going to change. This is going to be the same forever. And even though they tell you things like 401k and benefits and they make you feel nice and rosy cozy, like you're being taken care of and you have stability, at any point, that business owner could say, "I've had enough, I'm done,"
Or I'm
and you're screwed.
selling or whatever. Yeah. And
And
well, and you,
I couldn't with that. I could not, even though there's unemployment and I know there's practices in place to help protect that kind of stuff, I'm too anxious to have that thought in the back of my mind. And I was just like, I've seen it. I've seen like when Kickcharge did their overhaul and they hired all those new people, there were people I worked with that I saw lose their job that should have never. And it
yeah.
was
And
just it's hard.
that's what is good and bad, like because even like my plan, like my goal in 5 to 10 years is to have a team of people as well and working so
Yeah.
that way, so I'm not doing the things that I'm doing now. Like 10 years from now or 5 years from now, I don't want to be installing on a vehicle. I don't want
Yeah.
to be doing
I
that
want to
stuff.
be in the Caribbean drinking a margarita.
I want to be running the business and things like that. So instead of like, instead of working on the business or working in it, I want to be working on it. And
Yeah.
that's, and that's exactly what business owners should be doing. But at the same time, it's like, how well are you taking care of your team? What is the culture like? um, what are your goals and what are your future goals, and do your goals as a business owner align with your team's goals for whatever personal goals they have? And I think when business owners don't touch base with their team on a regular basis to make sure they're seeing eye to eye, that's where things can go wrong. And that's where the
Yeah.
monotony of the day can get to you. And that's where things can get a little bit fuzzy, right? And you get burnout and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what I experienced, being in the
Yeah.
corporate world. Is, when I started there, it was one thing. It was like 30 to 50 people when I started, and within 7 years, we had over 150 working at that corporate office. It was so we had tripled or quadrupled in size within 5 years. Essentially, we had investors come in, like the entire landscape changed. And when it changes like that and the bosses don't check in with the people doing the work, that's what can hurt. um
Yeah.
and so, I got let go because I was doing my own thing. And so I eventually got let go, and in my eyes, like, they lost one of the best employees they ever had.
Yeah.
But they may not see it like that. It's just because
Right.
our visions didn't match up. What I wanted for the company and what they wanted for the company were two totally different things.
That's literally exactly what happened with me in
Yeah.
Kickcharge.
And that's
Literally,
what
because
happens, period, everywhere.
yeah, for me, it was like Kickcharge was kind of pushing this more like we want to be this huge conglomerate, like working with tons of brands, and that's totally fine. Like, that's one business owner's vision of success. But for me, I was so much like this. I want it to be home baked. I want it to be love in every stitch. Like, I want it to be made with love and every pixel in its place. Like, I want to tuck every pixel in. Like, I just have such a homey, like, personalized thing. And the thing is, that doesn't bode well for business. That personalized, wholesome, home cooked meal experience does not get you restaurant chain level income.
Mhm.
That gets you a mom and pop store income. But the
Yeah.
thing was, that's what I wanted. I didn't care that I wasn't a millionaire. I didn't care that I didn't have a $2 billion beach house in Delaware. I didn't care that I didn't have the fastest Corvette. I didn't care that I didn't have all of these super expensive toys. Like, I just want to make my client's life amazing. I
Mhm.
want my client to feel like they're driving a Bugatti when they take their wrap on the road. Like, I want my client to feel so good about their brand that it is literally perfect and it is the pinnacle of their vision. I take the time to sit with my clients and understand their story. And Kickcharge is amazing at that, but they did industrialize. There is a whole team and an automated process where it's like you go through these certain meetings where I'll be happy to talk about your kid's vacation, or I'll be happy to sit and chat about you about anything, like whatever it is that you're going through in your life, whatever it is that you're growing through in your life. Like, tell me about it because that's going to impact the brand. That's going to impact what we're going to show the world about who you are. So, that kind of stuff's really important to me. And I like to take the time to kind of go over those details. But when you're trying to push out a lot of volume, there is no place for that. And I understand that now. I didn't then. And it used to really piss me off then. When you're a kid and you
Mhm.
don't understand anything about the world and you're like, he's just being a jerk to be a jerk. And you don't really understand
Mhm.
then. But I do now. I understand it, but it just wasn't my vision. It wasn't, I couldn't align myself with that. I wanted to be a little bit more personalized and homey, and I wanted to take my time with it. Like, sometimes it's like I'll take a whole week or a whole month to get a vehicle wrap out. My clients aren't in a rush. Like, doing 3 to 4 a day sucked. That
Yeah.
sucked. It's
Yeah.
like as soon as you would get that, because you know how intensive it is to do a full vehicle wrap. And it's like, man, I'd be sweating, wiping my forehead. I'm done with one. I look at my schedule, there's 3 more to go for the rest of the day. And I'm just like, oh, it was hard. And for me, it only would have taken, like, throw a brochure my way, throw me a business card, give me a yard sign, like something. I came to Kickcharge because I was great at vehicles. And when I like interviewed there and everything, I was like, I want to learn the other stuff. Like, you guys do billboards and websites and yard signs and all this kind of other stuff I never had a chance to experience in the industry. Like, can you show me that? And it was like, yeah, sure. But then when they saw how fast I could turn around a vehicle wrap, I mean, it made sense. It did, but I needed to be fulfilled like as a person as well. That was more like a business minded decision. You also have to do take care of your people too and make sure they're feeling fulfilled and they're kind of growing in their own avenues. Like when Dan would throw a project my way, like a little logo project where I could work and interact with the illustration team just a little bit, oh my god, I'd be set for the month. I'd be
Yeah.
good. You wouldn't even have to give a pizza party. And he did. He did these things like pizza Thursdays. Every Thursday we got pizza paid for by the company. We'd have picnics. He took us go-karting. He took us to the most expensive restaurants in New York. Like he did so much. So it's like I can't sit here and say I'm not grateful, but these are big things. Like for me, and it depends. It comes down to the person because for some people that is great and that is what some people need to stay happy. But for me, throw me a brochure, pat me on the back, tell me that I kicked ass on that vehicle. That's all I need. And
Yeah.
those are the things that sometimes did tend to get overlooked because it's the small stuff nobody else really cares about. But for a weirdo like me, that's the kind of stuff that matters.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody responds differently. Some people respond with extra money on their paycheck. Some people respond
Yep.
with time off. Like I'm a big time person. Like you give me time.
Yeah.
Like, in a corporate job,
Yeah.
like I just want time. Like pay me, give me an extra day off paid. Like I'm happy. Tell me that I did good. Like I'm a big on appreciation. Like if I did a
Yeah.
project and, tell me that I did good, that kind of thing. But it needs to come from the right person as well. I would get
That's true.
I would get that, I would get like, hey, you did a great job from like my immediate supervisors like all the time. But I would never get it from the top guy. And
Yeah.
that's where it's like you gotta
Yeah.
like the top guy, if the top guy's not seeing what I'm doing, then is what I'm doing really worth it? Um, so
Yeah.
that's everybody responds differently, and that's where the hardest part of business are the people. That's managing. That's something that I've learned in the past few years is like you just got to learn people. If you want to be like a
Yep.
good business owner, a good manager, a good leader, like learning people is by far and it's a learned skill. You don't learn that by sitting in front of your computer all day, working on you got to learn people by talking to people,
Yes.
so you
That's
know
why I was so excited to hop on the podcast. I was
yeah,
like, I want to learn more. Like, I always am eager to meet people. Like, even yesterday, my fiance just picked up a Fox Body Mustang. So excited.
nice.
Finally have our first race car since we had to sell the Speed because we're making some life decisions, starting businesses and stuff. So we had to sell. He had a Mazda Speed 3, and we just picked up a Fox Body Mustang. So we went to pick up the transmission yesterday, and he's like, do you want to come for a ride? It's out in Harrisburg. I'm like, sure. So I go out and we just start chatting with the guy, and he like was a employee of a specialized like Ford's part distribution, like an actual known, like in the Mustang industry, there is a specific parts distributor that is known for Mustang parts. Like he worked for them and he had cabinets and cabinets of stuff. He like told us about his work history and it's unrelated. It's not even rap industry stuff, but it's a history of another industry. And I was just like so enthralled. I was like, tell me everything. I want to learn. I want to know. I just teach me everything. It's so cool. And that's why I love what you're doing. Like the whole idea of like history of rap, I think is so exciting because it was so new and fresh. Like nobody really went back through and pieced it all together. It's just kind of like we're all participating in it as it goes and we're all like growing it, but nobody stopped and looked back yet, but you are, and I think that that's really cool. I think that that's more of what the world needs to see is as we're continuing to push forward, it is important to remember to look back and remember how much we've grown as a whole because business
Yep,
owners
yep,
do that all the time. We
yep,
audit our business as we look back, we see about our year's growth. What did we achieve this year? What did we miss this year? How are our profit margins? All that kind of stuff. And it's just, I love it. I'm
yeah.
so here for it. I'm such a
To
nerd
know
for
where
it.
you're going, you have to know where you've been.
Yes.
So
Yep. So many
it's
people
very
lose
true.
sight of it too. I feel
Mhm.
like this day and age, you have to be cautious because it's more prevalent now than ever with social media and how fast the world is moving with AI and electric vehicles and social media and all this stuff. It is so easy to lose sight of remembering to look back. and remember the progress and remember how far you've come. It's so easy to compare yourself to other people. How many, how many followers does this shop have? How many followers are that, this shop have? And they're better than me in competition. And it's easy to look at it in that kind of light. But just remember, you're on your own journey. You're on your own path. Remember, it's your own growth. Like sometimes it can be easy to compare yourself, but just remembering it's your own path and remembering to look back on your own growth has been the biggest catalyst in my business growth. When I was in a place early in my business, just comparing myself and being like, I'm never even going to be 1/100th of what Kickcharge is, or I'm never going to be 1/100th of Abby Connick or Brands by Robin or CJ Collier, or all these people. Like it's so easy, especially starting out, to look at it from that light. But just remember, you're on your own journey, you're going at your own pace, and that's okay. That's healthy. It's normal. It took me a long time to learn that, and I'm still learning it every day. But I'm thankful I'm this young and learning that, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are learning it way later in life, and just excited. I like talking to other people because I like having my opinion and perspective challenged. I think that that's very important too today as a society, as designers and graphic artists and, creative people as a whole. I think it's really important to being open when somebody challenges your perspective. I think it's easy on social media now. Everybody just gets in the comments section and fights like children. But letting people challenge your perspective, it's really important. You don't know everything. You can't. It's impossible. And there are people out there that do know more about things than you do, and open that conversation, be open and welcoming, and don't be like, oh, they think they know more than me. Let it in. Just let them challenge your perspective. It's really important. And I'm excited. I'm excited that you had me on the show. It was really great getting to chat with you.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on to chat. Shit, we've been going for almost an hour and a half, so we will wrap up. But after we say goodbye, I just want to talk to you about a couple of things like off
Yeah,
the podcast. If you hang around, so tell
sure.
everybody again who you are, where they can find you, what you do, if there's a design or if there's a shop out there that wants to get in touch with you to hire you as a
Yeah.
contract designer, like where are you? What's your thing? Go through all
Okay,
that and then
cool.
we'll wrap up.
Awesome. So I am Jennifer Stank. I go by Jen with two N's, owner of Stankin Good Design. You can pretty much find me anywhere online at Stankin Good Design. If I'm not coming up in search, try Stankin Good. But Stankin Good or Stankin Good Design, you'll pretty much find me anywhere. I'm like on all of the platforms. I have a website. It needs to get redesigned and redone because I'm actually rebranding, but it's going to take a long time because I have clients. So what I would hope to achieve in 6 months is going to take me 2 years, but that's okay. We're going at our own pace. Um, I have a website, I have a podcast. You can find me on social media, all of the good things. And if you're interested in working with me, pretty much anywhere online, if you find me on social media, if I have a link tree, there's a work with me button. If you're on my website, there is a work with me button. If you're interested in working with me and you see a work with me button anywhere on any page that I have, click it, and there is a form that you can fill out to work with me. So it's basically just going to ask for your name, your business, your email, the service that you're looking for. If you're a wrap shop and you're looking for a vehicle wrap, there is a vehicle wrap option. Just click that, and in the description box, let me know that you're a wrap shop owner and you're looking to hire me as a subcontractor, and I'll be in touch with you via email. So that's pretty much a little bit about me. I do everything vehicle wrap design, branding, print, collateral, like literally everything that you could possibly need. So anybody that's out there, just give me a chat and I would be excited to work with you.
Cool. And what's the name of your podcast, just for listeners, not the visual
Oh,
good
yeah,
people?
sure. So the name of my podcast is called The Designated Designer.
Okay. And you talk to other people in the design industry. That's kind of like what your MO is.
So it's changing.
Yeah.
Initially, when I
Okay.
started my podcast, I really wanted to just kind of talk with other designers because like that's what a lot of other design podcasts are doing. But then I quickly realized all of the other design podcasts are only bringing on designers, and I was like, "Man, that's kind of stale after a while," because I listened to all the other design podcasts and I was like, I want to hear from the clients. I want to hear from the connections, the vendors that they work with and things like that. I want like the insider scoop. So I start bringing on clients I start bringing on outside professionals, so like financial accounting people, to discuss like questions about the financial side of running a business. I bring on clients so we could talk about the actual interaction between client and designer. And then I also bring on designers, but I'll bring on anybody. So if anybody out there is listening that wants to be on a podcast, if you've already been on Bryce's and you want to be on mine too, definitely reach out and I'd love to have you on.
Anyway, Jenn Stank, I appreciate your time and stay in touch. Please let me know what's going on in your life. And if you need anything, let me know.
Sure, right back at you. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate your time as well. And I will see you guys. Hopefully, reach out, follow me, reach out, work with me. And thanks again.
Perfect. All right.